Please repeat. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet nashta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki krishnaya vasudevaya devaki nandanaya cha nanda gopa kumaraya govindaya namo namah. So today we are studying from third canto, chapter 8, and the chapter is titled Manifestation of Lord Brahma from Lord Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu. And last week we discussed further questions by Vidurji. So we will understand the connection between two. Or maybe I can speak now so that we can link up. When Vidurji asked the questions, so one of the questions, he asked many questions. Vidurji asked many questions, and in many questions, his first question was that he's speaking to Maitreyaji. Yeah, you remember that? So he's speaking to Maitreyaji, and Maitreyaji has spoken to him about the creation. After he spoke to him about creation, then he had further questions, and one of the questions that he asked him was about the creation. He said, "My dear sir, you mentioned that Supreme Lord entered into this universe as Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, and he is lying on the Sheshnag Shayya, right? And in the Garbhodak, right? Because how that water came about? From his own perspiration, from his own body. He filled up that, and Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu is lying in that." So Vidurji asked that, "My dear sir, you said that Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, he entered into that universe and he's lying there." And then he asked further questions like, "Tell me about the various type of living entities, Brahmā, Shudra, etc." But he starts his question by that, "I want to know about the Brahmā Adi Vibhuti of the Supreme Lord, Brahmaji." So that was his first question. And the question was, Yatra putraischa potraischa, Yatra putrascha potraischa nri, nat tribhi saha gotra jahi, vichitra praja vichitra krataya yabhir idam tatam. That, my dear sir, please tell me about that supreme person whose putra, whose sons, putraisht, potraisht, whose sons and grandsons, yeah, and also his nati, his daughter's sons, right? Like further, right? How he created this praja and filled up all these planetary systems. Asan yabhir idam tatam. All this planetary system, how he filled up. First tell me about that person. So Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu is there. He understood. Now he wants to know further, which should be a question from anyone. How this whole planetary systems got filled with that. So his sons, his grandsons, right? How he filled up. So that was his question. So to answer that question, first, now Maitreyaji starts talking about manifestation of Brahmaji from the navel of Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu. How Brahmaji came about, and then further sons, grandsons, and etc., etc. And how this whole planetary system got filled. We will have further elaboration on these, like his sons, grandsons, how Manu Maharaj came, the various Prajapatis, then Manu Maharaj's daughter, Devhuti, Prasuti, Akuti, Uttanpad, Priyavarth, all these sons and daughters of Manu Maharaj. So like this, he's asking about it. And in further chapters, we will understand the whole detail. So that was one of his questions. So that is why he's talking about manifestation of Brahmaji from Garbhodakaśāyī. So today's chapter, we will talk about how Brahmaji manifested from the navel of Garbhodakaśāyī. Yeah. So please repeat this. So today we'll take this verse from this chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Talloka Padmam Sauveva Viṣṇu. Talloka Padmam Sauveva Viṣṇu. Pravivishat sarva gunavabhasam. Pravivishat sarva gunavabhasam. Tasmin swayam vedamayo vidhata. Tasmin swayam vedamayo vidhata. Swayam bhuvam yam smavadanti sobhut. Swayam bhuvam yam smavadanti sobhut. Okay, word by word translation. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Please repeat. Tat, that, lok, universal, padmam, lotus flower, sa, he, you, certainly, eva, factually, Viṣṇu, the Lord, pravishat, entered into, sarva, all, guna avabhasam, reservoir of all modes of nature. Tasmin, in which, swayam, in person, vedamaya, the personality of Vedic wisdom, vidhata, controller of the universe, swayam bhuvam, self-born, yam, whom, sma, in the past, vadanti, do say, sa, he, abhut, generated. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Please repeat. Into that universal lotus flower, Lord Viṣṇu personally entered as the super soul. And when it was thus impregnated with all the modes of material nature, the personality of Vedic wisdom, whom we call the self-born, was generated. So you understand what Maitreyaji told Vidurji? He's saying from the lotus navel of Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, the lotus came out. And in that lotus stem, Lord Vishnu himself entered and he impregnated. भगवान कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. भगवान खंबे से पैदा हुए. He came out, so he can do anything. So don't put any logic. So he impregnated that lotus stem. And as he impregnated, by his entering, now from that lotus stem, lotus flower, Brahmaji manifested. Who is Vedmaya. Without going to any coaching or anything, he was already given all the knowledge. He had all the knowledge. So Brahmaji came out. This is how Brahmaji appeared. So purport, please hear the purport. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. The lotus flower is the universal Virat form or the gigantic form of the Lord in the material world. Remember we discussed about the Virat form of the Supreme Lord. All the planetary systems are his various bodily limbs. Right? So that Virat root, all those planetary systems, they are inside that lotus stem. But various yogis, various acharyas, they have different way of meditating. Some people meditate on the Virat root, some people meditate on the Prakrit root, some, they have various forms. But the best is to meditate on the Lord Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, Shyam Sundar. So, yeah. Yogi Sadaiv Hrideshu Vilokayanti. All the yogis, exalted yogis, they visualize that Brahmaji is praying. Vilokayanti, they are always saying that. Yam Shyam Sundaram, that Shyam Sundar Krishna. So this, let's just so we understand. It becomes amalgamated in the personality of Godhead Vishnu in his abdomen at the time of dissolution. And it becomes manifest at the time of creation. At the time of dissolution, everything goes inside the body of Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu. This is partial dissolution. And in the full dissolution, the whole universal goes back into the body of Karanodakaśāyī Viṣṇu. Okay? This is due to Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, who enters into each of the universes in this form is the sum total of all the fruitive activities of the living entities conditioned by material nature. And the first of them, namely Brahmā, or the controller of the universe, is generated from this lotus flower. This firstborn living being, unlike all the others, has no material father, and thus he is called self-born or Swayambhuva. Swayambhu. He goes to sleep with Narayan at the time of devastation. He goes to sleep with Narayan at the time of devastation. And when there is another creation, he is born in this way. From this description, we have the conception of three: the gross Virat form, the subtle Hiranyagarbha, and the material creative force Brahma. Be clear? Srila Bhaktivedanta purports ki? Okay, let's do Mangalacharan and then we'll discuss further. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamlam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Savadetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubha Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bhuter mahadbhir yayima puro vibho nirmaya shete yadamusha purusha bhumte gunansho Rasashodashatmakam Solanka Srashta Bhagavan Vachamsi Me Shri Krishna Sharanam Sharanaagatam Katha Amritam Satata Pibatam Bhakti Vedanta Marga Panthanam Sarvalok Rishide Janma Prasannam Sarvalok Rishide Janma Prasannam. Hare Krishna. Hare. So I need to restart my machine. I haven't restarted it for like 2-3 weeks. As we do, we have so many tabs open. You don't want to go back. So that is why it's slow. Okay, anyway. So manifestation of Brahma from Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu. So Prabhuji Mataji, as I said, why is Maitreji speaking about manifestation of Lord Brahmaji? Because Vidurji asked a question, please tell me about the Brahma Vibhuti of the Supreme Lord and how he has filled up all these planetary systems with his sons, grandsons, and with his maternal grandsons, like, through his daughter. So I want to know about that. And in saying that, that is why then he started speaking about Brahmaji's manifestation from the Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu. Now, just some revision from last week. I think last week we discussed three very important concepts. Right? Does anyone remember what were they? Anything, that thing you can recall, because it's very important. That is the whole fundamental.
How to create a universe.
Yes, I know. I know you were.
But I recall that it's written there in the back end of the last chapter. This one is how the pure soul gets entangled in ignorance. That's one. And the second one, while the Lord is residing in the heart, still how do we get the bad outcome of the circumstance?
Very nice, very good problem. Yeah, very important thing to understand. We often have these questions: why me? Why this happening? If Krishna is watching, then why these things are still going on? So Vidurji he asked two set of questions about the Ishwar, and then he asked some questions about the Jiva. His very first question was about the Ishwar. Brahma katham bhagavatascha chinmatrasya avikarina. That Supreme Lord, who is avikarina, who is unchangeable, whose body is transcendental. Right? Leelaya chapi, even though people say that he come to perform his pastimes. Leelaya chapi yujjarena nirgunasya guna kriya. He is nirgun. Nirgun doesn't mean he is impersonal, mind you. Prabhupada clarifies, nirgun means he is not connected with the material gunas. He is separate from the material gunas. That's how he is nirgun. It doesn't mean he is impersonal. Yeah. Nirgunasya guna kriya. He is not connected with the modes of nature. Even though he is performing the leela, how come he is connected with the material modes? He is transcendental. He is unchangeable. The whole thing about the creation, why does it create? That's what Vidurji will come to conclusion. Then he says, okay, people say he is performing his pastimes for his leela. Then he asks next one, he says, I can understand. Kridayam uddamo arabhasya. Kridayam, as in playing, like children are playing. Uddamo, they are enthusiastic. They have enthusiasm about krida, about playing. Arabhasya, as in small children. For them, it is understandable. They have why? Because kamam chikridish annata. Because they have desire to play with others, so they are enthusiastic about performing the pastimes, about their playing. But for the Supreme Lord, he is swata triptasya. He is self-sufficient. He is Atmaram. He is always enjoying within himself. Swata triptasya cha katham. Nivrittasya sada annata. Who is always detached, who is always self-sufficient, who is always enjoying within himself, even for performing the pastimes. Why does he need to do this? Asrakshi the Vishwam, to create this universe. Yeah. Gunmaya Atmamaya. He engages his external potency by his own Atmamaya to create Asrakshi the Vishwam, to create this universe. And then after creating this verse, what does he do? He makes sure it is maintained, it is looked after, and then it gets destroyed. Why is he doing that? So for these three questions, answer Srila Prabhupada says is that this is not for his enjoyment. This is for us. This is for the conditioned souls who wanted to lord over the things. So they are given an opportunity. You know, for example, take your own example. If your child sometimes doesn't listen to you, what do? He wants toys. You say, okay, take the toy. You give him some toys. They will go and play with it. And after some time, they get satisfied with it. Similarly, sometimes they ask for an electric toy. But the trouble is they keep asking. There is no stopping. In some European countries, in Netherlands, we went there for some work purpose, and the guide was telling us that in the evening people will assemble there, and there will be official people coming, and because those people, there was a big crowd there, people will start lining up from the afternoon. And we asked him, what is this? And he said, they are all druggies. They want drug. So the government said, okay, instead of you go and create havoc, you beat people up, there will be some drug provided to you here in the evening. So people go and line up, and in the evening they are given small shots or dose of drug so that they can quietly go and take the drug and settle. It is not as if the government is interested in distributing the drugs. They've been forced to do that to maintain the system. Similarly, the living entities, they will create havoc in other planetary systems. Right? So they are given an opportunity. Okay, you want to test this? Go test it. Because if you have hidden desires, then wherever you go, you will not be satisfied. So this material creation is, even though it is Lord's Leela, first of all, he is not connected with it. Prabhupada very clearly says it's like a king going into the prison. He is going into the prison to check, and he is going to the prison by his own free will. That doesn't mean he becomes a prisoner. That doesn't mean he falls under the same rule as the prisoners are. So as a Supreme Lord, he creates, he gives a facility for us to, okay, you want to enjoy, go enjoy. You want to lord over, go lord over. And then people with similar mindset or different mindsets, they all come together, they argue with each other, they fight with each other. You want to lord over something, they want to lord over something, and then they will settle the score themselves. And Supreme Lord Krishna is just standing and watching. He's a Sakshi. Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi. He's Sakshi. He doesn't interfere with your free will. So even though he seems like he is coming here, he is connecting, but he is not doing it. So first response Maitreyaji told, he said, some people say that Supreme Lord is independent, but he comes in this world and he gets conditioned. Even though he's independent, he says these are illogical statements. So we should never question Supreme Lord. He gets entangled. Krishna performing those pastimes, Krishna running away from Mathura to Dwarka, he was given name Ranchod, all of this. So he is never influenced by the material modes of nature. He is just coming to help us perform our pastime. When he fought, when he ran away, it was mainly for those soldiers, for their purification. Yami hai nirikshiya hata gata swarupa. Viṣṇu Pitama, when he is glorifying the Supreme Lord, he says, my dear Supreme Lord, now that I'm about to leave my body, you please stand in front of me so that I can see you. And on the battlefield, when the soldiers from other army, when they saw that rope, you are holding the, that rope of the horses. Vijaya Rath Kutumb Attatotre. Vijay Rath, when you were on the chariot of Arjun was called Vijay. Right? People who looked at you, your beautiful vision, your hairs were flying. The dust from the ground had changed the color of your hairs. That beautiful vision of yours, the perspiration drops were coming and they were looking like little pearls on your face. And the soldiers from the opposite army, when they just saw that your roop, your form, that form, yamihe nirikshiya, yam, that here, nirikshiya, as in closely look. That is why we say, when you take the darshan, look at the Supreme Lord, look at his flute, look at his eyes, look at his lips, look at his helmet, look at his lotus feet. Like you see someone opposite, like a girl sees a boy or boy sees a girl. Now, when you are young, you are able to tell each other, right? You even tell each other, Prabhu, your hair looks like Dharmendra. Oh, your body looks like Salman Khan, etc., etc. That means you have looked at Salman Khan with so much attention. That attention we want to divert to this. Understand? So he is coming here to perform that pastime, to perform those leelas so that we can look at him. And just by looking at him, just by singing those pastimes, just by glorifying those pastimes, we get liberated. Otherwise, he has nothing to do with this. Okay. So that we should be very clear. Then the next set of questions he asks, as Prabhu said, he's asking Deshato Kalato, with the place, with the circumstances, and those circumstances, Swato Annata, created by yourself or created by someone else. Even if this is happening, but my dear sir, I don't want to understand. I don't understand that Katham Yujayer Katham Ajaya. Ajaya is called Maya. He says, how does the pure soul gets entangled into this Maya, which is ajaya? Right? And then on top of it, he says, I understand on top of it that Supreme Lord, he is in the heart of everyone. Sarva Kshetreshwar. Bhagavan Ek Evesha. That Supreme Lord himself, he is all the time and he's inside the heart of every living entity. Even then the living entity is entangled into this and he is suffering. How does that Supreme Lord who is inside the heart let that happen? He says, I'm bewildered. Agyan sankate. Agyan, I don't have this knowledge, and this has brought about a great sankat on me. Khidyate. Yeah. My mind is disturbed. Please tell me. And then Maitreji responded, and the first set of questions we have already understood. Supreme Lord has nothing to do with this. And then for the living entity, we took some examples last time. So his response, he says, the reason the living entity seems to be suffering is Atma Viparyaya. Atma Viparyaya is misconception when we start identifying ourselves with the body. Srila Prabhupada's first statement was, you are not this body, you are soul. But we get too much connected to the body. We start identifying ourselves with the body, that I am this body. And our suffering is compared to as if you are in the dream and in your dreams your head is chopped off. But is it really chopped off? You are watching. How do you know your head is chopped off? Because in your subconscious you are watching. You know. So similarly, the sufferings in this world are apparent. Many times people ask, Prabhu, who is suffering? Soul is pure, body is gross. It is just our consciousness, the false ego, the subtle body, our conscious we think. That is why they say we get across the man. Manayev manushya nam karanam moksha bandhaya. So it is the man, which is part of the sukshma shari. So there is no real suffering, but there is apparent suffering, and that suffering is given for us to remove that conditioning. The whole purpose is to remove that conditioning. And when we remove that conditioning, then slowly, all conditioning is nothing but getting rid of all those desires. Yeah. Vishaya vidushit ashayam. Sud Goswami tells Shaunakadi Rishi, Pivanti ye bhagavate atmana sata katha mritam shravana puteshu sambhritam punanti te vishya vidushitashayam vrijanti tatchara nasaroruantikam. If you hear Hari Katha, that Katha Amrit, if you fill up your ears, Shravan Puteshu, these are cups, like cups, you fill them with Hari Katha. Katha Amrit, nectar of the Hari Katha, if you fill them, then what happens? Punanti te vishya vidushita ashraya. Your desires, your material desires, or your desires to get happiness from these material objects automatically gets cleared up. Punanti, they get purified. So you don't have to focus on purifying. We have to focus on listening the Hari Katha. It works automatically. You don't have to go and check. I just listened Hari Katha, but I still want to eat Rasgulla. What is the problem? Why do I want to eat Rasgulla? Something wrong with me. My mind is not good, Prabhu. My bhakti is not pure, Prabhu. I'm so impure. I'm so fallen. And, some people just pretend. Some people just put themselves so much, themselves under stress. No. If you want to eat Rasgulla, eat for Krishna. There was this one Prabhu in Mumbai. He wanted to play cricket. And he was so good. He really wanted to play for India. And his family was disturbed because they knew there is so much competition. He won't get through this. So somehow they got in contact with Gaurang Prabhu. Our Gaurang Prabhu, Mumbai. So Gaurang Prabhu, they brought their son to Gaurang Prabhu, and Gaurang Prabhu spoke to him. And Gaurang Prabhu asked him, how do you feel? And this, he said, my parents keep saying, stop playing, but it is my passion. I want to play. Then Gaurang Prabhu told him, okay, you want to play for Krishna. You're not asking to stop, play for Krishna. Play for Krishna's pleasure. Just channel your activities for the pleasure of Krishna. Don't stop what you are doing. And slowly, automatically, Prabhuji Mataji, that Prabhu, he played, and after some time he realized that maybe I'm missing something in my life. Now he's an initiated devotee. He's performing all the sadhana and he's progressing nicely on the Krishna consciousness. So the reason I'm sharing is it will not work for, one formula doesn't work for all, but in bhakti, one formula works for all. We just have to do pleasure for Krishna. That's it. Whatever you like to do, cooking, baking, sweeping, cleaning, working, whatever, do it for pleasure for Krishna, link it with Krishna, then all the material contamination will clean automatically. So back to that point, the soul, even though it is pure, it is not suffering, it is misconception. And what is the misconception? Misidentification, Atma Viparaya. Remember that. We identify ourselves with the body, right? And for that, now Vidurji asked, then what is the solution for that? And then Maitreyaji tells him the solution for that. He says the solution for that is performing the bhakti. Yeah. He says performing the bhakti, Savai Nivrit Dharmena Vasudeva Anukampaya Bhagavad Bhakti Yogena Tirodhatte Shaner. Savai, that same misconception will go away. So now he's telling bhakti is the solution. What is the solution? Bhakti is the solution. Don't do mental, speculation. This, what is this? What is this? So I know one Prabhu, he said, Prabhu, I'm just sitting. Why this thought came into my mind? Why this thought came into my mind? Either you can just keep analyzing your thoughts. Well, man, Arjun could not control the man. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. Arjun is saying, my man is so chanchal. Controlling the man is like controlling the wind. That Arjun, when he went to heavenly planets, Urvashi came to see him. And Arjun said, Ma, why are you here in the night? You are like my mother. That Arjun is now on the battlefield saying, I can't control my man. So don't focus on that too much. That is the point. What Maitreyaji's solution is telling is, he says, Nivrit Dharmena, Nivrit, detachment dharma. Detaching from the fruits, detaching from the ownership of your activities, that detachment, that dharma is. And then when you do that, then what happens? Vasudev Anukampaya. Anukampa. Anukampa word comes from kampan. Kampan means shaking. Then Lord Krishna's heart starts anukampit. His heart starts beating. Oh, look at this person. He wants to worship me, but he's struggling. So he becomes merciful automatically. Vasudev Anukampaya. And then after that, what you do? This third one is yours. What do you do? Then Bhagavad Bhakti Yogena. Very clear. Bhagavad Bhakti. Bhagwan ki bhakti. Not some anyone else bhakti. Not some person's bhakti. Not your, Kul Devta. Sorry to say that. They're all worshipable. But what I'm saying is, as long as we are linking all of them to Krishna, with due respect to everyone. Vasudev. Right? Vasudev Anukampaya. Bhagavad Bhakti Yogena. Yog. Bhakti Yog as in connecting with Krishna. And then what happens? Tirodhatte Shaner Iha. It will get diminished. Shaner, slowly, Iha in this world. So you don't need to go anywhere else. You don't need to go leave your house, everything. Just slowly detach yourself. Then Krishna, Partha, Sarthi, Bhagwan will be merciful to you automatically. And you keep performing your sadhana, Prabhuji Mataji. And then slowly, these things will go. Yeah. So we understand now. 3 points that I said. One is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes, he has nothing to do with this material world, but he creates this for our benefit. Second, the soul is pure. It is always eternal. Also, mind you, it is a particle of, it is an energy of energetic. The sun is there, but the sun rays can be covered. Sun, you can't cover the sun. If you put a tree on the way might divert the sun rays, but doesn't stop the sun. Sun is there. The same sun is covered by clouds sometimes. A cloud is the energy of sun, produced by sun. They cover sun. Does it mean the sun is covered now? No, sun is still there. And after some time, those clouds will be removed. Right? So we are all energy. We are all spark. You know, a spark from the fire, as it goes away, it will be lighting for some time and then it goes away. So that is why our objective or our endeavor is to go back to the fire, so that you keep lighting for a long time. Otherwise, if you stay away, if you go away from the fire, then you will be fused very, very quickly. So we are all fused already. Somehow or other, we have got this association where we are discussing pastimes and trying to connect with the fire. That is the whole point, right? So second point is clear. The soul is pure. And the third is to remove that misconception, Maitreya is saying, is perform devotion service. Okay, clear? Now we come to today's chapter, manifestation of Brahma from Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu. Now, Vidurji asked so many questions, and Maitreya starts speaking. Before he starts speaking, he tells Vidurji that, Vidurji, you are a Bhagavat. He says, you are born in the Kuru dynasty. Your dynasty is so exalted. In your family, so many devotees, Bhagavat Pradhan, so many devotees are born in your family. And because of you, the Kirti Mala of the Supreme Lord gets increased every day. Kirti Malam Pade Pade Nutanayasya Abhikshanam. So what he's saying is very important. Let's understand what he's saying. Vidurji, you are a great devotee of the Supreme Lord Vasudeva, and you are born in a family of devotees who are top devotees, Bhagavat Pradhan, and because of you, the Kirti Mala of the Supreme Lord gets increased or becomes newer all the time and every day. What does that mean? As many devotees are coming in a family, they are actually increasing not their glories. They are increasing the glory of the Supreme Lord. Sometimes you say, in my family, 4 generations. Prabhuji, my great-grandfather was such a great devotee, and then there was such a great devotee. He could perform these things, he could perform those things. But either you glorify your dynasty or you glorify Supreme Lord Krishna by the services performed by your dynasty. So that is objective. So Maitreya glorifies Vidurji. He says, because of you, Abhikshanam, all the time, Pade Pade, at every step, the glories of Supreme Personality of Godhead are increasing. And you have asked such a wonderful question. Now I will speak to you. I will speak to you Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So this is another disciplic succession. So he says to him that I will, actually this answer is also related to one of the previous questions. In the previous chapter, Vidurji had asked another question. He says, Sukhaya karmani karoti loke, natai sukham vanyad uparamam va. He says, Sukhaya karmani karoti loke. In this lok, the living entities are performing so many activities to get happiness. Natai sukham. उनको सुख नहीं मिलता है और ना ही वो एंडेवर करने से उनको थकावट होती है. न तई सुखम वान्यद उपारमम्बा. अब मिला, अब हो जाएगा, अब सुख मिल जाएगा, अब हैप्पीनेस आ जाएगी, अब घर बना लूंगा, अब गाड़ी ले लूंगा, अब घर में एसी लग जाएगा, अब घर में फर्नीचर आ जाएगा. लाइक दिस ही सेज दे आर परफॉर्मिंग दिस एक्ट. न तई सुखम वान्यद उपारमम्बा. देन क्या मिलता है उनको? विंदेत भूयस तत्एव दुखम. लेकिन उनको उल्टा दुखी मिलते रहते हैं, राइट? तो Then he is asking to Maitreyi that please tell us. Yeah? Please tell us what is the solution. Yuktim yadatra Bhagavan vadenna. Yuktim, kya yukti hai? What is the solution to solve that problem? He had asked that question. Now in this chapter, after glorifying Vidurji, now Maitreya Rishi starts telling him, okay, now I will tell you. Soham nirnam shul lasukhaya dukkham mahad gatanam viramaya tasya. Yeah. Pravartaye bhagavatam puranam yad aha sakshat bhagavan rishibhya. So he says, so aham, right? Now I will tell you, my dear Vidurji, shulla sukhaya dukkham. Shulla sukhaya is shulla is tuchh, for little happiness, small happiness. People, you can. I mean, I'm sure you all know the examples. Small happiness, we do so many things. These material things, we know they're just going to go away very, very quickly, right? So he says, "Shull sukhaye." सुख थोड़े सुख के लिए वो ये सब एक्टिविटीज करते हैं, लेकिन उनको क्या मिलता है? महद गतानाम दुखम, उनको बहुत भारी दुख सहने पड़ते हैं. They have to go through the various miseries. विरम्य तस्य, लेकिन उसको कैसे खत्म करना है, उसको कैसे विराम लगाना है, उसके लिए विदुर जी मैं आपको अब प्रवत्ते भागवतम पुराणम, अब मैं आपको वो भागवत पुराण सुनाऊंगा. यद आह साक्षात भगवान ऋषि पे, that Bhagavat Puran which was directly spoken by Bhagavan to the rishis. So this is another disciplic succession. So then he tells him that once Sanat Kumars through the Ganges, they went into the Patal. Ganges goes all the down. आप भारत में जाओगे आपको लगता है गंगा जी यहाँ खत्म हो गई. No, we can't see that. It goes all the way. It purifies all the three planetary systems. So through the Ganges, they were floating in the Ganges, and they went all the way down into the Patal. And as they reached there the Supreme Lord was lying on the Sheshashaya, and Sheshnagji with his 1,000 hoods, he had closed his eyes and he was meditating on the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. Sanat Kumar Brahmā ji ke jo 4 putra, right? So they went there, and as they went there, they paid their obeisances to Sheshnagji, and they requested him that please tell us about Bhagavan Vasudeva. And then Bhagavan Sheshnagji, even though he was sleeping, but he says for the pleasure of his devotees, he opened his eyes half. He half opened his eyes and he looked at them. As he looked at them, they were praying and they were glorifying him again and again. Yeah. Vachas anurag, they were using very sweet words. Muhur grananti. Yeah. Muhur, again and again they were glorifying him. Muhur grananti vachas anurag. Yeah. With select words, they were glorifying him. And then Supreme Lord, being merciful to them, he opened his eyes and then he spoke Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to them, to Sanat Kumars. He spoke to Sanat Kumars, and then Sanat Kumar spoke Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to Sankhyayan Muni. They spoke, then Sankhyayan Muni approached them, so that they spoke Bhagavat to Sankhyayan Muni. There is another Sanat Kumar also spoke to Naradji. Right? There is another success. Naradji also heard Bhagavatam from Brahmā ji. And then Naradji
spoke to Sanat Kumar.
Sheshnag, Sankarshan, Bhagavan Sankarshan. Yes. Bhagavan Sankarshan. So he spoke to Sanat Kumar then spoke to Sankhyayan Muni. And then Sankhyayan Muni spoke it to Parashar and Brahaspati. Yeah, you can see the disciplic succession. Sankarshan spoke to Sanat Kumar spoke to Sankhyayan Muni spoke to Parashar and Brihaspati. You know how Parashar Muni got to hear Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from Sankhyayan Muni? Parashar is son of Shakti Muni. Parashar is son of Shakti Muni, and Shakti Muni is son of Maharishi Vasishtha. Shakti Muni was killed by demons. Demons ate him. And those demons were employed by Vishwamitra. You can say at that level also, those kind of, difference of opinion. So Vishwamitra employed demons, and that demon was a king in his previous life. The same demon who killed Shakti Muni, he was a king he was a Kshatriya. But he performed some bad act, he died, whatever, and then Vishwamitra Muni gave him some promise, and he said, okay, you go and kill Vasishtha Muni's son Shakti Muni. He killed and he ate Shakti Muni. And when he killed Shakti Muni, then Vasishtha, Maharishi Vasishtha, he came and stayed in the cottage of his son Shakti Muni, because his daughter-in-law was pregnant at the time. And one day Vasishtha Muni heard the Vedic hymns coming from his daughter-in-law's womb. And he asked her, and she said, sir, this is the child in my womb. He's speaking these Vedic hymns. And Vasishtha Muni said, oh, such a great fortune. So Vasishtha Muni decided to stay there to make sure the child is looked after. And that child is none other than Parashar. When Parashar Muni grew up, he got some siddhis. And he started killing all the demons because they killed his father. He was performing a yagna and he was calling all the demons into the yagna fire, and they was getting burnt into that fire. And as he was doing that, now Pulastya Rishi got worried. Pulastya Rishi Ravan ke nana hai. And all the demons came from him. So Pulastya Rishi got worried, and Pulastya Rishi comes to Parashar. But before Pulastya Rishi come, Vasishtha Rishi, he noticed that Parashar is doing something which is not good. And Vasishtha Rishi told Parashar Rishi that whatever you are doing is wrong, because your father was killed due to providence. It was his previous karma. And why you should relinquish your Brahmana dharma of forgiveness by killing these demons. And then Parashar said, yes, this is my dharma to forgive, so I should forgive. And he accepted his grandfather's instruction. When he accepted his grandfather's instruction, Pulastya Rishi was there and he gave a boon to Parashar Rishi. He said, because you have listened to your grandfather's instructions, despite all of this, I give you a boon. You will become a great speaker of Purans. You will become a great scholar and you will speak on Purans. And that's how Parashar Rishi then got this knowledge from Sankhyayan Muni. And then Maitreya Rishi is a disciple of Parashar Muni, and Maitreya Rishi got to hear Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from Parashar Rishi. So this is this disciplic succession. Other one is Brahma ji spoke to Narad, Narad ji spoke to Vyasdev ji spoke to Shukdev Goswami, Shukdev Goswami spoke to Sut Goswami spoke to Shaunakadi Rishi. Parikshit Maharaj also heard, but he did not have the opportunity to take it further. But Sut Goswami spoke to Shaunakadi Rishi. And what we're reading is the Bhagavatam that was spoken by Sut Goswami to Shaunakadi Rishi. So this is that. So before he speaks about the manifestation of Brahmaji, he's telling him that I will speak to you about that Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam which is spoken by Bhagavan. Yad ah sakshad Bhagwan Rishibhya. वो भागवत जो साक्षात भगवान ने ऋषियों को सुनाई थी. That Bhagavat Puran, yes, I will now speak to you. And by hearing that Bhagavat Puran, what will happen? Shulla Sukhaya Dukkham Nirnam. The living entities for these meager happiness, they take so many great troubles. Mahad Gatana Viramaya Tasya. How to put a Purna Viram, how to put a full stop to their miseries. for that they are going through for small happiness, I will speak to you that Bhagavad Puran, my dear son, which was spoken by Sakshat Bhagavan. So we should not have any doubt whatsoever. In this Bhagavad, there is names of Ravan, there are names of Ajamil, there are names, all these pastimes are spoken. Once in the seventh canto, we will hear. In the seventh canto, when Hiranyaksh was killed by Varaha Bhagavan, his family was grieving for the killing of Hiranyaksh. And then Hiranyakashipu went there and Hiranyakashipu spoke to his wife and children that ye sharir to kshan bhangur hai, iske liye pareshan mat ho, don't care about it, this and this. He spoke to them. So somebody asked a question to my Guru Maharaj that Maharaj, हिरण्यकशिपु ने प्रवचन दिया है, उसको सुनना चाहिए क्या? हिरण्यकशिपु was a demon. But then Maharaj said, अगर वो भागवत में लिखा है और उसको नारद और सुखदेव गा के सुना रहे हैं, then who are you to judge? अपना लॉजिक फिर लगा दिया, right? It sounds logical. प्रभु जी क्या बात कर रहे हो? हिरण्यकशिपु जिसने भगवान को गाली दी, भगवान की तरफ तलवार लेके दौड़ा, उसके प्रवचन को सुनना. But the qualification is, it is in the Bhagavad. It is in the Bhagavad. Narad ji is speaking about it. Sukdev Goswami is speaking about it. Yeah. So that Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which was spoken by Bhagavan, I'm going to speak to you now. And then so there are 4 sections in this chapter. Yeah. The reawakening of creation. Okay. Now, Maitreya Rishi tells Vidurji that at the time of annihilation, dissolution, when Brahmaji's night came, right? When Brahmaji's night came, then all the living entities with their subtle bodies, they entered into the body of Supreme Personality of Godhead, as in Garbhodakaśāyī. They all went inside him. With Bhut Sukshama, Bhut as in the material elements, as well as the Suksham Sharir. This is what Maitreya ji is saying. So they all went inside his body, and then at that time, Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu, he was alone. But he is Swatah, Swa Atmaratav, Niriha. Niriha matli, there was no material creation, but he is Swa Atmaratav. He was inside, he was enjoying inside. Atmana, Bhagavan. So for him, he doesn't get affected. Once again, the same question, creation, dissolution ho gaya. For him, there is no difference. He was Swa Atmaratav. He was enjoying inside. And as he was enjoying it inside, the 1000 Chaturyugs passed. Brahmaji's one night, the 1000 Chaturyugs passed. As the 1000 Chaturyugs passed, with the Kala Shakti, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he looked at all these living entities who were inside him. This is what's spoken in Bhagavatam. Don't question how is he looking inside. He can do anything. So he looked at those living entities, the Suksham Sharirs. As he looked at them, they start getting activated with the Kala Shakti. Their karma and this thing, they got activated. And then as he was looking at that, he was thinking about this, the what you call, from his navel, the lotus, the stem starts coming out. So the process of creation will begin. You know, after the Brahmaji's night, partial dissolution, then the creation will begin again. And as the process of creation begin again, now Brahmaji appears. Don't think Brahmaji died. Please, don't think Brahmaji died. You might say, Prabhu, we're saying Brahmaji's birth. This is not birth. This is his manifestation, by the way. He just went to sleep. And when he goes to sleep, all the living entities, they go inside the body of Garbhodakaśāyī. And when Brahmaji's day is about to start, the lotus stem comes out. Supreme Lord enters into it, impregnates it with his energy. And then the first living entity that appears is Brahmaji. All other living entities, they are there. They will start manifesting. And through, that was the question, Yatra Potrascha, right? Yatra Putraischa Potraischa. That was the question, whose sons, whose grandsons. Now through them, when they are going asked to increase the progeny, then all the living entities will appear. Our Suksham Sharir is there, but as per our karmas, as per our desires, we will start taking the bodies. We will be given bodies. We'll be assigned parents, fathers, mother, whatever. So like this, the creation cycle. So now this sprouted, Supreme Lord impregnated this, Brahmaji comes out of that. As Brahmaji comes out of that, now Brahmaji starts looking around. He starts looking around, and then it says, Mata says, as he looks around, he moves his head in 4 directions, his 4 heads appear. His 4 heads appear, and then Brahmaji is thinking, who am I? Where have I come from? He starts, he tried to start searching for the absolute truth. And he goes to the extent, he goes back inside the lotus stem to find his origin. Right? As he goes back inside the lotus stem to find his origin, he doesn't find anything. And he suddenly realized that the Kal time is running. The 100 years of his life days have passed, 100 human years. Then Brahmaji comes back again. As he comes back up again, now Brahmaji realizes, he starts meditating. At other places it is said that Brahmaji heard 3 words, tap, tap, tap. So Brahmaji then starts performing austerity. He starts meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As he starts meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, many years passes. After many years passes, then Brahmaji get a vision of Supreme Personality of Godhead inside his heart. Swayam tadantar, Swayam tad hridaye, antar hridaye. Pashyat apashyat yanna purvam. Swayam, automatically, what he could not see before, now inside his heart, that appeared. The vision of Supreme Lord appeared inside his heart, which he could not see. Pashyat apashyat yatnah purvam. Earlier he could not find out. So this proves one thing, he was the first living entity. He was using his mental speculation. He was thinking, where have I come from? What is my origin? Right? He used his logical thinking. He went back into the system. He did everything. But then what happens? Nothing. He got nothing. So that applies to us also. If we try to find out, if we try to learn this thing, we cannot learn this thing by logics. Yes. We can only learn by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We can only know by Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the creation that Brahmaji is doing, it is because he's got powers from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Creation by the powers, by the mercy of the Supreme God, and knowledge also by the mercy of Supreme God. What that Tulsidas Goswami, he says very nicely in one of the chopais. Jane तेहि जानई जेहु देई जनाई. वही जान सकता है जिसको आप जनाना चाहते, और जानत तुम ही हो ही जाए. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सोई जानई जेहु दे ही जनाई, जानत तुम ही हो ही जाए. हे भगवान, आपको वही जान सकता है जिसको आप जनाना चाहते हो. बट देन डोंट यूज इट एज एन एक्सक्यूज कि जब भगवान कहेंगे तब भजन कर लेंगे, जब भगवान चाहेंगे तब भजन कर लेंगे. नो. उससे पहला स्टेप क्या है? यू हैव टू हैव सम डिजायर. अदरवाइज ठीक है, साइकिल चलता रहेगा. सो क्या बोल रहा था? हाँ, वही जान सकता है, और जो जान लेता है वो फिर आपके जैसा ही हो जाता है. सोई जानई जेहि देव जनाई, जानत तुम ही हो ही जाए. आपको जान के भगवान आपके जैसा ही हो जाता है. तो ब्रह्मा जी की सेम सिचुएशन थी. ही कुड नॉट फिगर आउट हु ही वाज, वेयर ही केम फ्रॉम, But when he meditated on that Supreme Lord, when he started glorifying, when he started chanting those prayers, and mind you, these prayers, what you have chanted, I think I don't know, you know, Gajendra prayers, very important concept from there also. Hathi ki yoni mein, he was an elephant. He was an elephant. He recited those prayers. Prahlad Maharaj, when he is glorifying Bhagwan Narsimdev, he is recalling Bhaktya Tutosh Bhagavan Gaj Youth Payo. Gaj Youth, who was the leader of the elephant, Bhaktya, by Bhakti ke dwara Tutosh, he was able to please you, my dear Supreme Lord. An elephant. An elephant yoni is considered very nikrist yoni. Gajendra is saying कि जी विषय ना हम इह मुह यकिन, मैं जीना नहीं चाहता हूं भगवान, because this elephant body, this is so so degraded. You know how elephant how they catch an elephant? An elephant chases a she elephant and he is so calming. What they will do is, people who catch him, they will dig a hole in the ground and they will cover a hole in the ground with some grass. And on the other side of the hole, they will put a dummy she elephant and make some noise. An elephant thinks, oh, there is my friend. And he keeps running and he falls into the ditch. And they leave him in the ditch for a month, 2 months. They starve him. And then when he's about to die, he falls down. Then one person will come. And he uses that ankush. And that then one person, hathi ko puri city mein leke ghumta hai. That same hathi jisme itni shakti hai. He's tamed now. उसको रस्सी से कोई थोड़ी पकड़ सकता है आदमी. कुत्ते को तो आप फिर भी रस्सी से पकड़ लो, बिल्ली को पकड़ लो, कुत्ते को गोदी में उठा लो, बिल्ली को उठा लो, हाथी को कैसे उठाओगे? लेकिन एक आदमी, वो उसके यहाँ पे दिमाग पे मार मार के उसको हाथी को कंडीशनिंग कर देते हैं. एंड देन हाथी नोज दिस इज माय बॉस. नहीं तो हाथी एक सूंड उठा के कहीं फेंक दे उसको. लेकिन they take him away. Yeah. Why did I speak about this elephant? I just forgot the Gajendra, yes, Gajendra, yes. Yeah. Bhaktya Tutosha Bhagavan Gaj Youth Payo. Only by bhakti, by devotional service, that elephant was able to achieve you, my dear Lord. So that is the point. And then also Gajendra, other thing I wanted to say is the concept is, no matter if you perform devotional service in this life, it will stay with you life after life. It will go with you. When Gajendra was caught by crocodile, he started reciting these prayers. And there, Shukdev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj that he started speaking those prayers which he had learned in the previous life. Prag Janmani Anushikshitam. Prag as in previous life he had learned. He started reciting these prayers. An elephant reciting the prayers. So if we have to have a desire, that's the point I was saying. Don't think. Yes, when Krishna will desire, then you will be able to see him. You will be able to know him. Krishna desire as in his mercy. But before that, we desire. And all we're doing is we're making an effort to know him, to serve him. And that knowing starts with bhakti. That knowing starts with serving him. Right? So that
desire comes first, deserve. You later desire and deserve that.
नहीं प्रभु जी, भक्ति में कोई डिजर्व नहीं. भक्ति anybody can perform. बाकी सब में डिजर्व आता है, भक्ति में कोई डिजर्व नहीं. Nobody can stop you. आप बाहर जूते चप्पल उठा के सफाई करना शुरू करो, आप झूठे बर्तन धोना शुरू कर दो भगवान के मंदिर में, कौन रोकेगा? उसमें कोई डिजर्व नहीं. सर्विस कोई भी कर सकता है, भगवान की भक्ति. हाँ, आपको अगर कुछ और, आपको टेंपल में डीटी वर्शिप करनी है, आपको कहीं मटेरियल तो छोड़ ही दो आप, उसमें तो सब डिजर्व है. लेकिन भक्ति में एनीबडी कैन परफॉर्म. आपको कोई नहीं रोक सकता. आप भूखो, आप सड़क पे खड़े होकर लोगों को पानी पिलाने लगो, कोई आपको रोक सकता है? यू कैन डू दैट सर्विस. नोबडी इज स्टॉपिंग. आप भगवत गीता उठा के पढ़ लो, कौन रोकेगा आपको? आप माला लेके भगवान का नाम जपो, कौन रोकेगा? भक्ति के कितने सारे अंग हैं. भगवान को फूल दिया, आप उसको सूंघ लो, कौन रोक सकता है? भगवान के विग्रह का दर्शन करो, कौन रोक सकता है? तो ये सब भक्ति के अंग हैं, कोई नहीं रोक सकता. सब कुछ कर सकते. भक्ति ऐसा मार्ग है, उसमें कुछ नहीं कर सकते. नवयोगेंद्र जी कह रहे हैं भक्ति ऐसा मार्ग है, दोनों आंखें बंद करके भी आप इस मार्ग पे जाओगे, गिरोगे नहीं। और दो आंखों का मतलब गुरु महाराज एक्सप्लेन करते हैं, श्रुति और स्मृति। दो आंखों का मतलब क्या है? वेद और पुराण। यू डोंट हैव टू नो वेद और पुराण, सिर्फ भगवान भक्ति पे दौड़ना है, चलना है उस मार्ग, बस भगवान संभाल लेंगे। तो ब्रह्मा जी ने वो रियलाइज किया, एंड ही स्टार्टेड रिमेंबरिंग द सुप्रीम लॉर्ड, एंड व्हेन ही रिमेंबर्ड दैट, व्हेन ही ऑफर्ड हिज प्रेयर्स, व्हेन ही चैंटेड द होली नेम, फिर क्या हुआ? द सुप्रीम लॉर्ड दैट ही कुड नॉट सी बिफोर, नाउ he appeared in his heart. Yes, antar hridaye, inside his heart he appeared. Now what he sees inside, let's look at that and then we will close. So Brahma's bewilderment is about creation, reveals two things. Please remember, these are the takeaway. It is difficult to understand the mystery of creation by mental speculation. Don't use your brain. Please don't apply any logic. Krishna will explain to you. Brahma's power to create is not his own, but comes from the Lord. And then section 4 is beautiful darshan of the Lord, Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu. Yeah. So let's look at it. Brahma sees the Lord. Now what Brahma is seeing inside his heart is, he sees that on Shesh Shaiya, Sheshnag has 1,000 hoods. On his 1,000 hoods, he has helmets. And with those helmets, the whole environment was lit up. And the Supreme Lord in his Shyam Sundar form, he is lying on that bed of Sheshnag. That's what he sees. And now he further elaborates what he sees, right? So this is the point. We need to go into the details. We need to go, मेरे भगवान आज कैसे लग रहे हैं, उन्होंने क्या पहना है, उनका कपड़ा कैसा है, उनका श्रृंगार कैसा है, all that detail we have to know, and then we develop that connection. That's a detail. So feature of Lord's beauty, his bodily luster. He was wearing yellowish garments. His helmet was bedecked with jewels, and limbs he had ornaments, and he had tulsi mala, and other flower garlands he was wearing. That's Supreme Lord. Yeah. And then grandeur of Lord's beauty. He was so beautiful. We are almost time, so I will let you go and read yourself, right? So details are there in the shlokas. Read the details, meditate on them. The Lord mercifully showed one lotus foot. Mind you, even though he's seeing in his heart, he still could not see the whole vision. You will only see what the Lord wants you to see, as per your qualification. When Dhruv Maharaj was in the forest, he was performing, when he was meditating on the Supreme Lord, he was meditating so hard, he had a full vision of the Supreme Lord Viṣṇu in his heart. And he was so much connected with the whole universe, when he stopped breathing, the breathing of all the living entities stopped. That was the depth, that was the strength of his meditation. Ek 6 mahine ka, within 6 months, 5 saal ka bachcha, he was able to control, and he was so much controlling that Supreme Lord had to come and see him himself. All the demigods went to him. Vayudev could not run. People started dying out of breath. And then Supreme Lord said, okay, I will have to go and see my servant now, my devotee now. Dradashya madhor vanam gata. अपने भक्त का दर्शन करने के लिए भगवान मधुवन में गए. So when you go to Vrindavan, go to Madhuvan. That's where Dhruv Maharaj performed his puja, his tapasya. Madhuvan, on the bank of Yamuna, right? So he went there, and as the Supreme Lord was standing in front of Dhruv Maharaj did not open the eyes, because he was so focused on the vision inside his heart. Then the Supreme Lord realized, I have to withdraw that vision from within his heart. As he withdrew that vision from within his heart, Dhruv Maharaj got disturbed. He opened his eyes, and then he see the Supreme Lord standing right in front. And then Dhruv Maharaj started crying. He didn't know how to glorify the Supreme Lord. He did not have words how to glorify. And then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagwan ne apna conch uske gaal pe touch kiya. As he touched his conch shell on his cheek, then Dhruv Maharaj started reciting such a wonderful prayers. Where the stuti he started glorifying the Supreme Lord. Where did all that knowledge come from? He just touched his conch shell on his cheek. So he will empower you. If you really truly want to glorify him, he will empower you. He will give you knowledge. But if you want to do self-glorification, then he knows what to do as well. So choice is yours. So Brahmaji wanted to do glorify Supreme Lord. So the Lord mercifully showed one lotus. Don't question why one lotus. Then the Lord acknowledged the service of devotees. Now Brahmaji is also seeing. He also seeing that the Supreme Lord is acknowledging the service of his devotees. As in other areas, don't think in this. Now you will say, Prabhu, everybody is died now. Everybody is merged inside the body. How can the Lord be merciful to them? But he's giving the vision to Brahmaji. He's reassuring him. In the future prayers, we will see Brahmaji gets worried. Brahmaji says, my dear Lord, if I start creating these people, they will come out and they will perform same bad things as they were performing earlier on. Is it worth creating them? Brahmaji gets bewildered, but the Supreme Lord says, don't worry. So he's showing him that I also take care of my devotees, right? So as per their desires, as per their efforts, whoever was performing whatever type of worship, the Supreme Lord was giving them the benedicts. He was reciprocating. So Brahmaji saw that the Lord acknowledged the service of the devotees. And then once again, he was wearing pitambar. On his waist, he had a belt, right? And then on his chest, he has cost money. Right? He was wearing a garland like this. It's pretty elaborate. So, but you can read it. And then the Lord is compared to sandalwood tree. Lord is compared to sandalwood tree. First of all, sandalwood tree is so beautiful, right? The smells, everything. But other thing is, in the root of sandalwood tree, who live? Snakes live. So he's equal to everyone. He's not discriminating. He's also surrounded by the 1,000 hoods of Sheshnath. So he appears like a sandalwood tree. Yeah? And then the Lord is compared to a great mountain. Because mountain is a reservoir of everything. So from a distance, he is visualizing that the Supreme Lord, he is a coral mountain. Coral is some, what is said in Hindi? Munga. Very precious jewel. Coral mountain, his body resembles a mountain. And then finally Brahmaji concludes that he is Supreme Lord Hari. उनके conclusion से Hari change नहीं होंगे. Hari तो Hari ही है. But it is for Brahma's benefit, he realized that. So same thing for us, we realize that he is the Supreme Lord. He controls everything. He does everything. He is our truest of the well-wisher. Why will he not look after you? Right? So Brahmaji realized that he is Lord Hari. And seeing that the Lord was being glorified with Vedic wisdom by the garlands on his chest. So garlands on his chest are glorifying the Supreme Lord with Vedic wisdom. Because everything is Chinmay. Everything is Chinmay in the Supreme Lord's world. Right? It's only here things are material. Yeah? And like this, so Brahma concluded that he is Lord Hari. And then Brahmaji opened his eyes. And now as Brahmaji opened his eyes, outside he could only see 5 things. He only saw 5 things. He saw the water, devastation water, the water all around. He saw the Kamal, the lotus. He saw Akash, ether. He felt dry air and himself. He saw only 5 elements. And as he saw only 5 elements, then he got surcharged. Right? He got surcharged to create. Right? Karma Bijam. He got surcharged by mode of passion to start the creation. And to start the creation, what did he do? He says, Astaud. Astaud. He started doing the stuti again of the Supreme Personality of God. Very important point. That is why before we start any activity, we pray to the Lord. If let's say you cook very nice pasta, for example, and we put ingredient here, we say, "Bhamari Prabhu pasta bana." Arey, to mere baएं हाथ का खेल है. ये मिलाओ बन गया. No. So that's what we learned from this. All the ingredients for creation were there. Astod visarga abhimukhastadiyam. Astod, for the he started performing stuti for visarga. Visarga is secondary creation. Abhimukhastadiyam. किसकी स्तुति करने लगे? That same supreme personality of God. Avyakt varmani abhishet atma. He fully concentrated his soul onto the supreme personality of God at Hari, whose vision he had just had in his heart. And then he started performing the stuti again. And when he performed the stuti again, then the supreme personality of Godhead will appear and he will guide him again. Because Brahmaji now will start worrying, how do I create? So in the next chapter, we will discuss about how Brahmaji will start the creation. Right? But this chapter is about, right? So just to sum it up, Vidurji asked question about that how this planet got filled by, I want to know about that person, whose sons, whose grandchildren, whose great-grandchildren, and whose Gotrajai, people born in the same family. How did they fill up this planetary system? Please tell me about them. So to tell about that, Maitreyaji starts speaking about he spoke about the disciplic succession. Then he spoke to him about how the creation began and how the creation began after Brahmaji's night was about to end, right? And then Brahmaji appeared, and how Brahmaji appeared, he could not figure out where he came from. He was using mental speculation to find his origin. He could not find that. He went to the bottom, Nabhim. He went to the Nabhi, and he says he went close to the navel of the Garbhodakaśāyī Viṣṇu. Even then he couldn't find his origin. He came back up and he started performing austerity. When he started performing austerity, he had a vision of the Supreme Lord inside his heart. And then he realized, as he opened his eyes, he got these 5 elements, and then he got surcharged to create. And surcharged to create, basically, he is about to perform his service. But before performing his service, he is glorifying the Supreme Personality. Right? So we'll stop now. Prabhuji Mataji, what is the time? 7:40.
When he says you're born in the family of devotees,
yes,
he means earlier birth.
No.
Whatever birth he had earlier. That he has included.
Prabhuji, earlier